So hello, this is Dr. Laura Gravel, and today's workshop is called Back from Burnout. So I think that's a great topic to just share. So we're going to wait on a couple people. It is just 1 o'clock now, and I am familiarizing myself with Zoom and the waiting room and all of this. I should have, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and well, hey, when people come in, I will see that they've come in and I will admit them, but we'll just wait whoopsie. Here we are. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. I see we have one person on and we'll hopefully have a few more, but I hope that even people are listening to the recording, that it will be up in the group, and I know that people will get a lot out of today. Even if they maybe come on late and can just listen to the recording. But let's get going. Who am I? My name's Dr. Laura Gravel, and Baxter's my maiden name, and I'm a wellness-based vitality-based chiropractor with 17 years experience. And perfect. Just wanted to make sure it was recording. And my goal is really to help people live a vibrant and vivid, authentic lives. See their life expression for what it is, or really just become aware of what it is and then how to make those changes to transform. So I'm going to share today this hot topic that, I mean, as you delve into this, I think a lot of us as women have been to burnout and back again, but I'm going to open your eyes, I'm going to open your hearts, I'm going to open your minds, and I do want people to stay to the end because there's going to be an offer, and I do not want you to miss it. Now, we had a little bit of a challenge with I had this worksheet all done. It was going to be a PDF. We were going to upload it onto the platform, but we just couldn't figure out how to do it. So please have a pen and paper or just an open mind. If you want to even just think about these questions now, and if you want to email me after or message me through Facebook, with your email, I will be sure that you get this PDF. We just can navigate that, but we'll do the questions as we go through the presentation. So if we talk about trauma, we've all had it, and there are many different definitions, but one simple one is when our body gets overwhelmed due to an event. Something happens that overcomes us. It's either too much, too fast, too soon, and there's not enough time in our system to integrate that experience. So let's dive in. That pen and paper will come handy now. Whoopsie. Pen and paper will come handy now. So the first question I want you to think of before we get into back from burnout, let's start at the beginning. So I want you to even in your mind think, or pen and paper. We won't have time to actually go through it now because it would just take too much of the seminar, the workshop I prepared. So we will kind of skip over this, but I do want you to go back. If I would have been able to send out the PDF ahead of time, then we would have had time to, but I know people are busy. So first thing, just think about connection. Think about what connection means to you. In all 7, some people say 7, some people say 5, I see 7 areas of your life. That's health, spiritual, social, career, relationships, and family, personal development, and financial. So just think, again, we won't have time to go through it today. We'll just take too much out of the workshop, but think about what connection means in those areas of your life. So let's dive in. There is more of everything in our lives, and I know that you will absolutely agree with me. There's more experiences, there's more sensory stuff coming at us, coming at our brains, coming at our bodies, coming at our senses to integrate minute by minute, second by second. There is 50 to 100 times more experiences per day than just over 100 years ago. We are simply bombarded with where to go, what to do, the sounds, the smells, the hustle and the bustle. Technology is a big part of that. Big part of that. Yeah, you know, we've had so much increase in technology and so much benefit, but really at what cost? I mean, when you look at and you look at the different facets of social, there's MySpace, there's Twitter, there's WhatsApp, Facebook, LinkedIn, blogs. I mean, the speed and the volume of daily encounters is massive. And then the brain has to integrate all of these. There's no relief. So what's the result? Well, the result is that our brains become fractured in their ability to decode and prioritize. And the brain is meant to do one thing at once, not follow the infamous rabbit hole and become divided in its attention. Our brains become stressed to multitask and go from this to this to this. Hang on with I'm just going to go back a slide here. Sometimes there we are. This is what, our brain links. Our brain is great at linking. It links this task to this person, but then from that task, it links this, I should do this. If an email comes in, your brain tells you to send 5. And we actually seek to find places and things to reconfirm our identity in the world, being so busy, being so stressed out, because that is such a belief that people hold, that I am stressed out, I have anxiety, I am depressed, I insert here, I am whatever, I'm busy. Whatever we seek to confirm, our brain will look at your life, look at your calendar to justify. So we will look for places to confirm our identity. So we can say, see, I am overwhelmed because, just look at my calendar. If they were looking on the outside of the life proves to us on the outside and reconfirms that belief that we hold as true, whether that belief is true or not. But that's what the brain does, seeks to confirm what's going on inside. See, I told you, brain, you are stressed out. See, I told you, brain, you are too busy. So what's the darn result? I'm going in the wrong direction here, folks. What's the result? Well, the result is a state of burnout. Burnout is simply a state of emotional, physical, mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. So it occurs when we feel overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and unable to meet the constant demands of those more than 100 times greater than years past, bombarding things into our system. I can't take one more thing. So what's the result? What does our body feel? Well, our body can feel a bunch of things, from anxiety to ADD, to worry, to separation, to feeling of disconnection, shutdown, isolation, lack of joy, lack of sleep, on edge all the time, jumpy, the world's against us. Negative thoughts, hopelessness, super vigilant. This is a biggie. Super vigilant all the time, uber aware of people, places, things, events to control, very reactive. If we look at, now we're in 2020, and this stat is from 30 years ago. 30 years ago alone, so in 1990, there was a 400% increase in antidepressants given. And now we see these younger and younger and younger. You look at the amount of technology that they're on, and the brain's really starting to reach that threshold at a younger age. So let's go. My slides are okay. Perfect. So I am a neurologically based chiropractor, and I will today be relating stress and overwhelm to the brain, because that's what I do. In stress, the brain gets very chaotic. The opposite of chaos is coherence. Coherence is where things are in flow, in ease, working together. Chaos is fractured. And this energy translates into the body. Actually, if you go back to the brain, certain parts of the brain become inactive. That means the blood bypasses that area. And one specifically is the prefrontal cortex. And the prefrontal cortex is our executive, right at the front of your brain, where all your executive brain functions occur. So that is your ability to decode, to reason, to rationalize, to make decisions, to plan, to think logically, to decipher what's going on. So this part of our brain is very, very important, critical actually, but in stress it's bypassed. So what does that mean? That means, well, if you're stressed out and you're having a heated discussion with your spouse or a loved one, what takes over? You don't rationalize for nothing. You can't add 4 and 4 together. Our emotions take over and our amygdala takes over. So we're literally bypassing stress. We bypass the ability to make rational decisions. We can't connect to ourselves or others, can't decide, and our emotions take over. There we are. So this is to represent that fight, flight, or freeze. So in stress or on the way to overwhelm, we get stressed. And our nervous system, because that's what I do as a chiropractor, gets overwhelmed by big T's or big traumas, or small T's, or our circle of influence. So what happens? Our body goes into chaos. Our body goes, all systems go. I need to fight. I need to flight, that means run away. I need to flee, I need to hide, or I need to freeze, like the dog, not the cat. This should be short-lived. This is not meant to be lived in all the time. It is a survival, it is protective. The system says, all systems go, I need to keep this body alive. And if we stay in it long enough and more than 30 minutes, breakdown ensues. What happens is cortisol goes high, adrenal system goes high, inflammation becomes widespread. If you go system by system in the body, it is absolutely all affected with stress. So our eyes dilate because we've got to see the predator coming after us. Our immune system's depressed, not time to fight off any virus or bacteria. I need to save this body's life. I don't have extra energy. Thyroid, reproductive system, both depressed. Gut depressed, not time to digest that lovely chicken broth we've had for lunch right now. I got to save this body. Reproductive system affected, as I said, skin. The body goes into push, push, push. We can't heal right now. No way, no way. This is really a recipe for disaster. And there's many metabolic pathways that are interconnected that actually steal from others or completely shut down to save this body. So as a chiropractor, hey, you're thinking chiropractor, stress, nervous system. It's what I do, folks. I've done it for 17 years. And a chiropractic adjustment, if you remember nothing from today, I want you to remember this sentence: calms the brain, resets the body. And I put there, control, alt, deletes old patterns of stress. So a spine has to move to feed the brain. Let me repeat that. Spine has to move to feed the brain. If the spine doesn't move, the brain stays in stress mode. And everything negative happens from there. We become super vigilant. Our shoulders punch forward, which we're going to talk about. That brain, our body just becomes very inefficient, and stress becomes overwhelming. So a chiropractic adjustment calms the brain, resets the body, because the spine has to move to feed the brain. If I say that 10 times, I'm going to say it 100 times a day. If the spine doesn't move, the brain goes into that black box, can't receive or perceive information, and really starts to close off and become disconnected from the outer world. And I use this graphic in what I call my report of findings, or as I explain chiropractic care to patients on their second visit. And I love it because it talks about the strength of the climber. So think about that, your body, my body. Your body, my body, we're climbing the mountain of life. And over time and repetition and the slow climb with chiropractic, we move up to become a stronger climber. We start at the bottom with motion, and that simply means the spine has to move to feed the brain. Tell me about my environment. Is it safe? And I'm able to adapt appropriately. We move up to interruption, and that is looking at old patterns, whether it's lack of motion or a stress physiology. Restoration is ease. So when the system is at ease, it can perceive life better. I have a different lens through which I'm starting to calm down. I don't have those energy stealing pathways going on. My body is actually coming back online. Integration, as we move up in the red there, is where all the parts of the body now have energy to work together. Reorganization is a new normal, is a new state of healing. And as we get to the top, say this is where chiropractic gets really fun and cool. Like people under chiropractic care for years, I say I told that vision for them at the top. When a brain is in rest more than it is stress, I can think greater than myself. That's connection. I'm connected to experiences. I'm connected to joy, people, places. When we're stuck in motion in the bottom, I'm very in my body. When I'm in that connection, the green at the top, I'm able to send that power to other people and really focus on how can I serve, how can I connect. And creation is being the best me, doing everything you want to do and actually demanding of your body and is able to do that. The brain works the best when we're at the top. My slides are getting ahead of me here. And this is a great graphic as well, explaining shut down and overwhelm. When we're in burnout, we are at the bottom. That means I am shut down. I cannot see any options. I am in what's called dorsal vagal collapse. I'm stressed out. The smart system says it's my job right now to run, hide, and freeze. I am sacrificing for survival. I can't cope. I'm collapsed and I'm shut down. This is not the time to engage in social behaviors. As we move up the rung, that's in that sympathetics. People, that's in that fight, flight, freeze. I'm in danger. I sense my environment as scary, as going to inflict danger on me, and I need to run, fight, or get back. And the top is the ventral vagal connection. That's where I feel connected to myself. I feel connected to the greater world. This is called the polyvagal theory. Chiropractic, here again, when the spine and thus the brain and nervous system are able to handle life. So when the spine moves, we see the climb on that ventral vagal system. Chiropractic is a calming influence into the nervous system by helping the spine move and telling the brain, I'm safe. My world is safe. I don't have to be in dorsal vagal collapse or sympathetics all the time. I can connect and my world is safe. And as it's coming up to Christmas in the season, I always like to put this to represent the stresses of life are cumulative. So we think of that sack, the sack of stress. When too much is too much, our physiology, it means the chemistry of our body, will push back, will give us signs, whether we want to become aware of them or not, or just push through. These patterns are held deep in our system. And the body responds, it gives us signals. Like I said, we can either ignore, well, I don't want to deal with that right now. I'll come back to the body keeps score. This title of a book, actually, the body keeps score. Maybe we become aware of them or change or not. Right? In the lens of life. So the nervous system is the perception of our environment. So it's the lens. It's how we take in data. We receive information and the lens is the filter. So if we view the world as dangerous and scary for a long time, whether that be unconscious or unconscious, and many times it's unconscious because it's been a pattern for so long that we think every action in our life is out to harm us and is scary and is threatening, the body will feel it and talk back. So the cool thing about chiropractic care in my office is we are able to measure what we call the load of life. And that's a timeline of trauma, not something happened in 86, 89, 95, 03. No, those things that happened to us left an imprint on our nervous system. It most likely it made us lower threshold, lower tolerance, lower resiliency, lower adaptability. And we do tests that measure how that physiology responds. So it's immaterial what happened in 96, 95, 2003. We really get a snapshot of the tolerance of that load of life. And that's when we increase that, and that's what we say we can. We say that we can improve that the ability to handle load of life. Scratch the lens, scratch the surface, and allow that nervous system to change the pattern of thinking that my life is scary. If it's scary, it's not healing. If it's scary, it's going to stay in overwhelm, and it's not healing. So we think bodies that walk into my office for 17 years, the body's a picture. And the physiology is the snapshot of life to date, and really that how heavy that the load of life has been. And in our office, we can measure it, and we can measure how it improves over time, slowly and repetitiously with spinal motion, dials down the stress response of the brain, things relax and heal. We can also see burnout. A system in burnout is a spine that doesn't move, a spine that collapses forward, hunched over. The brain now is a real hard time here because it cannot navigate gravity anymore. Our proprioception, where am I in space, becomes off because we're hunched forward. We're weakened. No resiliency, no adaptability, very inefficient. We actually become extremely rigid and wasting so much energy just standing up. We become a board that's flexed forward. So it takes so much energy to try to stand up. And then we get those stealing pathways happening where the body, the nervous system is saying, it takes so much energy just to stand upright. I have no extra energy for X, Y, Z. We can also see a body in burnout. A body in burnout is too sore to move through the full range of motion, most likely. And it's in that full range of motion that signals the brain to get alive and get online again. So a burned out system is actually very rigid. A person in burnout is very rigid in their thinking. But a spinal motion, in talking about rigidity, we lack fluidity and we lack flexibility in when a system is in burnout. Again, I will repeat this, and you're going to see this slide, and it is just for to make a point. What does a chiropractic adjustment do? It's a calming input into the nervous system, into the brain, to reset the body, reset the mind. Control Alt Delete, Control Alt Delete, old patterning that we've thought and felt for a long time. So how cool is that? And it's absolutely, totally applicable to burnout. So that system, if we remember that mountain climber, we're moving more into that state of ease, that better perception of the actual environment, not what happened in the past, my familiar past, or not what's going to happen in my predictable future, what's happening right now, and how am I able to adapt to that. Okay, stress signature. This is something, you know what, I think I came up with this, or I modeled after somebody. This is not my signature, by the way, but this is where you're going to get that pen and paper out. Write down the question. I want you to revisit it later. Just due to time, we're not going to spend oodles of time on this. And I can send you the PDF of the worksheet if you email me after. But we all have imprints. We all have pre-ingrained patterns, deep-seated triggers that get us going, that are absolutely unique to us. This is life stressors. This is what is our unique load of life. Here are some suggestions. They may all be applicable to you, but they could be children, demands, finances, family, fear, frustration, feelings of inadequacy, that treadmill of life, the feeling of being not good enough, comparing, running, everybody else comes first. This plate is too full. You live by time, so maybe you're one of those people that live by the schedule. Maybe you're plagued by guilt. You push, driven to succeed, which a lot of women on this Empowering Women group may be. Feeling of overwhelmed, overburdened, not scheduled, but got to do it all again tomorrow, and no self-care. Maybe you're a failure. So I want you to get your pen and paper out and think, this is activity number 2. What's your stress signature? What is yours? What makes you tick? What leaves that imprint, that pre-ingrained pattern, that deep-seated trigger, and all unique to us? You may have half a dozen things on your list there. It's like a thumbprint. It's only applicable to you. Talk about physiology. Physiology is an overwhelmed nervous system. So how does that show up in our bodies? So physiology just means inside, the chemistry going on in our body. So when the brain controls the body, and from a chemical understanding, all of these are normal that I'm going to outline, but they're meant in short bursts, and they're meant to save your darn life. So that chemistry has results in the body, so it shows up in different ways. It's supposed to be life-saving. We are not meant to live by the stress hormones all the time, or breakdown will occur and people wonder, how the heck did I get to where I am 20 years from now, or 20, many times it takes so long to get to where I am. So here are some examples. I do want you to get your pen and paper out, but stress physiology, what's yours? So this means, so if we understand stress and overwhelm and burnout, I said before, cortisol goes up, adrenal system, it sits on top of your kidneys, and it pushes out. It says, I got to fight, flight, I got to fight, flee, hide, run. Inflammation goes up. We got high cholesterol, thyroid issues, reproductive gut and skin, and I mentioned those before. but what can they lead to and how the body feels? This is a big thing in chiropractic, in becoming aware of our not feelings and lovey-dovey, which is all lovey, great, but how does the body show up in this world? Perhaps it's easily agitated. Perhaps it's you spin out of control. No bounce back. Maybe we're emotionally dysregulated, not sleeping, no energy, brain's going all the time, super vigilant, time and space, low threshold, fast heartbeat, you can really feel that. No energy, but can't sleep. Yet you could fall down, and you probably do at the end of the day just to do it again. Try to control people. Maybe you play life with sweaty palms, and this is like, if your palms are sweaty, you try to hold on to every ball in the air, and if one falls, the whole thing's going to come crumbling down. Playing life with sweaty palms. Maybe we're anxious, worried about the future, depressed, not present. That means our physiology, the chemistry of our body, is not in the present. It's actually thinking about what happened in the past or predicting the future. Maybe our focus is very narrow. Maybe, as I said, we're very uber reactive. This becomes a default pattern. This is embedded in our physiology if it's there long enough. So just think, what's your stress physiology? So what's stress causing you? When we think about stress, we think about burnout. What's it costing you? Could be costing you money, time, resources, time with family, time with loved ones. Maybe it's costing you depression, lack of interest, lack of joy, withdrawal. Maybe it's costing you closeness. So here's activity 4. What is stress costing you? Review from the first activity when you meant, what does connection mean in all our different areas? So go back and look at those 7 areas and what it means to you. So what connection means, that's why we started there. But what is lacking, and what is burnout or stress causing, and what's suffering? We don't want to look back on the memories of our life, the story of our life, and say, I wish I could. I didn't. I could have. I didn't. I mean, the story of our life held in one of these books can be rewritten from today. Sometimes we feel that train is going in one direction only, and we can't turn around. You can't stop a moving train before. What you have to do is slow the momentum down and then slowly turn the course and alter course to go back in the direction. You cannot turn a fast-moving train around 90 degrees. You have to slow the momentum. Make little choices. We're going to go through those little choices every day to slow the momentum. Turn the train around, slowly turn the train around, go in the right direction. And this brings me to a parable of a grandma sitting on a front swing looking back, and her granddaughter asking her, Grandma, can you tell me the story of the tale of your life? And Grandma then swings in her rocker and says, I can tell you the tale of my life, but yours to come will be so much more interesting. So what's next? What are some decisions you can do today to alter the course, change the momentum? Again, this is simply for to illustrate my point. An adjustment, a chiropractic adjustment, calms the brain and resets the body. So chiropractic should be a big, huge check mark. Number 1, for you to, if you're not under chiropractic care, to seek a chiropractor. There may be an offer at the end, so please stay tuned. So number 5, what can you do from right now, today onwards, that will help manage, delete, reduce, change the course of your stress, change the course of your burnout? And that could be movement every day, sleep, professional, talk to a professional, talk to people, set boundaries, and absolutely prioritize yourself. I want to be very clear what chiropractic does and doesn't do. People come in the office and say, Dr. Laura, I am burnt out and I have pain all over. I say, I cannot treat or fix your pain. And I pause. They're like, why the heck am I here then? What I can do, I finish that sentence with this, what I can do is bring the body back into ease, balance the brain, Change the lens through which the nervous system seeks to confirm life, build our threshold, our resiliency, our adaptability. Many times then the pain and the movement and the pattern changes, but I cannot say in 3 visits that your pain of your shoulder will go away. Or even the physiology that you walked in here with for burnout that you seek to change will, I can absolutely impress upon you that there will be more ease, more connection in your body from which everything else falls. Restoration will ensue. So I got an invitation for you. Normally, in my office, a first visit is $150. And what that is a consultation, an exam. We do our vitality testing with like the camera. We look at the load of life to date. What has brought you in? Where's our resiliency? We see a gap. We analyze how heavy and potentially inefficient our system is. How much is tolerated? And it's leaching out energy and it's giving you signals. And we create a plan to a better brain. X-ray if necessary, because we do look at structure. So that's normally $150 for you staying till the end. There's one more piece that I want to share, my personal story. For you staying at the end is $47. $47 instead of $150. So what I would like you to do is call my office number, which is 519-433-9222. Mention Back from Burnout webinar empowering women. This is a 10-day offer only. So it goes from today to next Friday. And here's the super awesome thing I've decided to do. It's not just for yourself. If you followed along this far and you're like, oh my gosh, my spouse, my child, my friend, if you have 5 friends, they can, this offer is for them as well. So not just the people who are listening or will catch the recording, it's for you. And if you have 5 friends, you just tell them same thing. Offer chiropractor, vitality-based chiropractor, better brain, and have them call Back from Burnout, and it expires the 4th of December. So I want to share my story in closing here. And I don't tell you this, that is me. I don't tell you this to say, look at me. I tell you this to inspire you to become aware of the trajectory of your life, that momentum of the train, and how to slow down that train if you choose to. So I was married 13 years, devastating first year of marriage, financial loss, devastating, crippled by another business partner at that time. I then proceeded to have 4 children in 5 years. I had no multiples. I took no more than 2 weeks of mat leave with any of my children because I was building, I was pushing, we had moved and I was practicing in my basement while raising children. My tagline to this day is from basement to boardroom and beyond. I remember taking my 3rd son, so I had 3 boys in a row, then a girl. I remember taking Elliot, my 3rd son, who was born in 2011, to networking meetings in his little carrier at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I was living by the hormones of stress. And I was in breakdown all the time, absolutely overrun by my environment. But I had 4 children who needed my attention. I felt empty, yet I was pushed to achieve. Our last baby had birth trauma and was in the NICU for 4 weeks. I guess you can think of that as my longest maternity leave. So now I have demands of 4 young children. I have a husband at the time, multiple jobs, not a lot of financial stability. We then I made a bad business decision. I was in so much overwhelm that I would shake to get to the office. I would literally shake. I was pushing to success. I was a primary care provider and the breadwinner. I had 0 resiliency, 0 threshold, and I was in freeze mode. This is a few years ago, and I don't know if you remember what was called the 90-day cough. It was a summertime, and I got this 90-day cough. So much so that I cracked ribs. So remember, 0 resiliency, cracked ribs. I couldn't so much as clear my throat without buckling to the ground. And I remember buckling, made numerous trips to the emergency room. I had inflammation in my rib cavity. They thought I had an embolism in my body. 2 months later, my face, so skin is absolutely connected to when to stress and burnout. When you can't control the inflammation, it comes out in gut and skin. So it was like I had a million bees on my face, on the right hand side of my face, from my lower neck all the way up into my cheek and my jaw. It was red, it was raw, it was inflamed. Like I say, it looked like I had leprosy on my face. I lost 10 pounds because I couldn't eat anything. Anything that it was inflammatory would cause this redness and crackiness. I could not be seen by the right dermatologist. I began to engage in numbing behaviors, and my heart became absolutely closed. This chaos inside of me was now coming out, and it was coming out in my skin. I lost myself, I lost joy, I lost engagement. The pinnacle of, and I remember this day, and the pinnacle of that was my middle son. So like I said, I have three boys in a row. Mommy, we love you no matter what you look like. I would cry myself to sleep. There was absolutely a storm raging inside. I had to take drastic and dramatic measures. I literally couldn't face myself. I couldn't face my hurts, my decisions, my path. Healing absolutely needed to be done inside, and healing absolutely needed to be done outside. I'm going to pause my story here. If you're taking a pen and paper, please write down the movie Heal, H-E-A-L, just like how it sounds. It's a Netflix series. And I was that. There's a person on there with a rash on her face, and that was me. It wasn't actually me, but that was what I looked like. Okay. So how did I change? How did I decide no more drastic and dramatic? I needed to focus on me. I needed to make self-care a priority. Yoga, meditation, sleep became paramount. I actually removed people from my life. I set boundaries somewhat. I didn't set clear boundaries. I began to set boundaries, small steps. My chiropractic never stopped. And you're probably like, what the heck? What are you talking about? Why did my chiropractic never stop? Because what is a chiropractic adjustment? A calming input into the nervous system to interrupt the pattern and reset and help the body reorganize, help the body move up that hierarchy, help the body reorder. And healing takes time and repetition. You can't turn a train around without slowing down the train first. Literally, my skin fell off. I literally had to shed a part of me. I had to go through what it feels like, what that was like. And by God, I say never again. And I will always say, follow me on Facebook. I always end my post with, I will invest in you until I feel it in me and my physiology tells me I'm sacrificing me. So it took me 6 months to a year. I mean, to this day, it still affects me. I had deep healing to do. That was just the beginning of the journey. I look now, and my skin came back. Sure, that's an outside thing, right? People actually say, oh my gosh, Dr. Laura, you look so youthful. Guess I have a glow about me. Yes, it was healed. It was pink for a while. I did need corticosteroids. That thins my skin. Thin skin, don't go out in the sun. Thin skin, no alcohol, dilate you. Change behaviors. I absolutely had to change my behaviors, and I became aware of that which I wanted to heal. See, parts of overwhelm, parts of burnout, if they're in the dark, you can't see the healing parts. They need to come to the light and surface. I needed to get to that state of ease, that state of organization, and move in the direction. So as I share my story with you, it's not that I'm fine now. I mean, if I'm under stress, I will feel it in my face. If I'm with somebody who my physiology tells me, this is not a good interaction, I will feel it in my face. My physiology and my face speak to me now, which is I think very cool, but I had to go through that burnout phase to really tap into how I feel. So my goal for you is to experience and express life fully. And I want this to be you. I want you to focus on the connection of where you are at now. Where are you at now? Are you in burnout? Does my story resonate with you? Does any stress signature or stress physiology resonate with you? Think about where you're at now. One, maybe it's costing you. It costs you a lot more than money. That cost me a lot more than money because I had to show up every day at work to earn money. Stressed out like that. So I want you to focus on where you are now, where you want to be. And I would love for you to take me up on that offer. See you in the office. Assess your nervous system for that resiliency, that adaptability. And my gosh, get to the top of that connection and creation on our pyramid. People stay under chiropractic care for years and years. It's not because of sore back, folks. It's because I can create a better brain for myself while I'm under chiropractic care. I get adjusted twice a week. And I say, if you have a more stressful life than me, then you can get adjusted less than me. A gold standard, or we tell indicate to patients lifelong chiropractic care, as long as you own the brain and nervous system and you're under stress weekly or bi-weekly, simply to keep that nervous system in check, help with the vitality, and I can be the best me I can be in my life, strengthen the climber for the next whatever's happening to us, right? So I want to help you be your best self. That's all I got for you today, folks. Is Laura Gravel signing off. And to take me up on that offer, $47. The phone number again is 519-433-9222. I'll put that also in the forum in the Empowering Women up for 10 days, not only for you, but for a spouse as well. So I thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording now. Have a wonderful afternoon.